real distress layout.
Round the pit, all the werewolves out to sea. High on flesh, sucking moonshine gasoline. Fire rock guns, comes with brown beer thugs. Nothing like a fire machine. Let's scream and grow through broken jaws. Rolling bones out on the lawn. Show them all how it feels to shake the earth. We like to kill. We'll show them all. We'll show them all. We'll show them all. We'll show them all. Ride, ride, ride. Werewolves on wheels. Ride, ride, ride. Werewolves on wheels.
'72, we'd be sitting in a theater, in Texarkana with a line around the block because apparently the movie, in some ways, in my opinion, doesn't, it deserves a little more credit than it gets now. I mean, in a lot of ways, what Charles Pierce did with this movie, he was a pioneer. I mean, and no pun intended, but this was guerrilla filmmaking. I mean, this guy was up in Texarkana in 1971 when the reports of the foul monster started coming out in the Texarkana Gazette. And at the time, Charles Pierce was looking for a subject to make a movie because he was working at an advertising agency at the time, and he kind of got the movie bug while he was shooting advertisements. And so when he saw the newspaper reports that said, found family terrorized by hairy monster, he's saying, wow, I mean, this is right down the road. This will make a perfect subject for either a documentary or a movie. And so what Pierce did was basically convince a guy to loan him some money so he could get a camera. And he just went down in Falcon, started asking people if they would share the stories of their sightings, and he would put it on film. He would even set up at a gas station down there, and people that drive up would be like, hey, would you like to act out one of these stories? And they're like, what do I got to do? Man, just run through the field and act like you're scared, and there's, the foul monster's coming at you, and they're like, all right. So, I mean, he does what, filmmakers now that have no budget would do. They get a camera and they ask their friends to be zombies and whatever. And so when Pierce had finally got a script writer and they had to do the overdubs for the narration because they didn't have any good sound equipment, so they didn't even actually record the sound at the time. So they did the narration, kind of wrote a story and pieced it together, and came up with what they thought was a pretty darn scary movie. And it was based on real reports. And through my research, I realized that a lot of people go, oh yeah, there was one or two sightings back in the 70s, and they made up this movie. Well, they didn't make up this movie. They literally just dramatized what the people were saying. And so it is based on truth, as the people alleged seeing the creature back in the 70s, and there was reports that go, I traced them all the way back to 1908, so there was a long history of the foul monster prior to the 70s. It's just that in the 70s, it got the immediate attention and started getting in the paper, and that's what drew everybody in. And, sometimes the town was just overrun with people trying to hunt the monster. I mean, the town had a population of 500 back in the 70s, and there was more than 500 yahoos running wild through the woods down there with guns, drinking beer, trying to hunt themselves a monster, because the Little Rock radio stations put a $10,000 reward on it. So the little town didn't even have a police station. It's totally overrun. The Miller County Sheriff's Office is like, man, we're doing our best here. They couldn't completely discredit it because one of their own deputies saw the thing run across the road in front of the car one night when he was driving on a dirt road in one of the little county roads back there. So they're like, we got to kind of take it seriously, but they were trying to downplay it. Like a lot of the sightings never even got in public because we couldn't handle, all the people coming down here. So, it was just the right elements that came together. When Pierce got together his film, he went out to Hollywood, found a guy that would agree to edit and cut the film and put a soundtrack in there. For basically no money up front and a cut of the profits. So he was able to get a full reel. And of course he's trying to sell an Arkansas Bigfoot movie to Hollywood and nobody was hearing of it. It's like, it's ridiculous, just let us have the film, we'll see, and then we'll pay you later. He was a good businessman. And so he said, nah, forget it. So he came back to Texarkana and decided, well, hell with it, I'll just rent out a theater and I'll four-wall this thing. And four-walling is a term for renting it to the four walls. And he would pay his own staff, like you would if you made your own zombie film. And we came here, we decided to charge $5 to get in, come to the Museum of the Weird and show your zombie film to your friends. He did that on a scale of a real theater, paying the ticket takers and the popcorn people. Well, the Buck Monster had a built-in publicity machine. It had been all over the papers, and they've been tracking the filming of the movie the whole time. And so, when it actually aired in the theater down in Texarkana in August of 1972, there was literally a line around the block. People had packed lunches because you couldn't even get into the next showing. We were in a line for maybe two showings down. And like Phil was asking, it's rated G, which he kind of did on purpose because he knew if he could get the kids in there screaming, it would just help it. And that was part of the success and the genius of Charles Pierce, that he had kids in there screaming, and it was scary enough to scare the adults. And people had been reading of this thing, down the road in the papers. And, he had a whole theater, people screaming and coming out in the street while everybody's, waiting in line to get in. So he just went on and on for weeks in Texarkana, lines around the blocks, just totally making hand over fist money. He only had one other print of it, which was a reject print. So he took that down to Shreveport and started showing it down there, the same thing. Because now the news coverage had shown all of it. So, this is going to be Shreveport. So now, he's showing it in Shreveport, huge success. And so here comes Hollywood now. Hey, wait, man, we're going to write you a deal. How about cutting us in on, you sell to us $100,000, whatever. And Pierce is like, you should have done that first, buddy. And he said, cut you in half profits if you write me a check for $1 million plus the taxes. I'm not doing that. You got a Bigfoot movie. I got a Bigfoot movie that's got audiences wrapped around the block. And we're like, yeah, and we can do this all over the country. So, man, they write the guy $1 million check. So the guy who made the little, monster movie on his own, literally out in the swamps, filming, suddenly had a huge distribution deal. And once this was Halco International who distributed a lot of these type of films, and had done a good success with a movie called Legend of Bigfoot. So once they kind of put it on the drive-in circuit, they just did the same thing in all the other cities, and it was a huge success. And if you look at the movie now, there's cheesy parts, and it kind of looks like a 1970s educational film in some parts. And there's songs in the middle. They had to put some music, and Charles Pierce sings one of the songs. He doesn't credit himself in it, but he had to do what he had to do. So there's cheesy parts, but on the whole, if you look at it and think about the 1970s, it was a pretty shocking movie on the par of like what Blair Witch Project, Paranormal Activity have done today, where Paranormal Activity, they use their own cameras in their house and made some spooky ghost effects. I don't even know what the budget on that was, but it was in the few thousands, and there it is in the theater, and it's done so out